Good morning. Well, look at there. There's the sun shining on my face right there. Ain't that groovy? I hadn't seen that in a while. And the moon is out. It's back over in the west. So if you see this and it's just come up, then you can step outside and see the moon. But if it's been up, if this post has been up an hour or so, you probably already missed it. But anyway, I was telling you this morning that I had a few things on my mind. One of them was time and the people that say it don't exist, and me not really understanding that concept too well. But the other was, if you can believe this construct or use it as psychologically as a play, nothing more, then sometimes that'll help you get by with really bad situations that otherwise will drive you nuts. And you'll say the person is, just a actor in a play playing their part, and you have good guys and you have bad guys, and even the bad guys are playing a part. And if they play it well and you're watching it from a third person perspective, you can say, wow, look at that dude, he plays a great Darth Vader. He's a bad guy and he's playing his part well. But then I'm looking at myself, and sometimes I play the victim, and I want to step out of this. I want to be a spectator in it. I don't want to be in this play. I consider it kind of a parody because it's so obnoxiously stupid that it gets funny, and it's kind of weird. But I find that, especially when it comes to con artists, because I relive that same event that's happened before, and before you know it, I'm just doing something ugly in my brain, and I step back and I don't want to do that. So if I try to picture it as a play, I think, man, that guy is a first-class con artist, is playing the part. He's really doing a great job. But I'm playing the victim, and at times I play the victim well because I really get mad, and the things that I fantasize about doing to that dude is just over the top. But I'm gonna step back to keep my sanity and just project myself in the seat watching this in a movie somewhere. I'm thinking, boy, that dude is really good. And then it kind of numbs that whole thing. You're not involved and you can handle it a little better. And that's where I kind of want to keep my perspective, just to handle the sanity of all this, if I can do it. But anyway, I got out of the guy's way back there so they could load up without me being in the way, and it looks like they're gone. So I'm going to get back at it, but I'll blab at y'all later. Bye. Good morning. I'm standing here at the dirty room. And it's like there's a couple of beds in there, 2 patient lifts there, plus a third one that I'm actually leaning on. I got it all at the door. A bed, and some of the stuff was out here on my table, which the only thing out here now is a mattress. So when I come in, if anybody leaves stuff out there, I'll throw it in here and then bring it out one at a time, because that's the way I like it. And most of the people do that. I have one person that just wants to be mean to me, so they'll play the vulnerable narcissist if you actually confront them and say, well, I don't know why they don't like me. But so I started early. I'm going to take care of that. And actually, I know it kind of started off all kind of like I'm grouchy, but I'm not really. I'm doing pretty good, especially for what all is here. But I'll get at it, and we'll get this stuff cleaned, and maybe by my first or second break, because it'll be daylight and there'll be a decent moon out, I'll blab at you, and we'll have something more inspirational to tell you. But y'all have a good day. I'm gonna get knocking this stuff out. Bye. Good morning. I'm here a little early. It's my early week. I'll be off Friday. It was kind of a crazy weekend, to say the least. I had some problems with the plumbing, and a few months ago I had a fella come out where my sump pump in the basement was pumping up into the sink when it would go, and then it wouldn't drain, so there was a clog somewhere. So I called J.E. Shekel, and they came out and they fixed it. But now instead of coming up in the sink, it's coming up in the bathtub and the sink and the commode both. And this time it ran over the commode along with sewage. So I spent, part of that day yesterday bleaching my floors. So I was like, man, that's crazy. I got to get them out here, which I wouldn't mind to try somebody else, because every time I've had them out and they've done a lot of work for me, each tech tells me something different, which I understand. Everybody's individual and they think their way is right. But it's annoying to the customer that if your techs aren't all on the same page. Plus the last guy, I asked to wait for me, so I would give him a check before he left to pay for the job, and only 2 minutes. He wouldn't wait for me. He took off. He wouldn't wait 2 minutes to take my $270 check for unclogging the kitchen sink, which seemed a little ridiculous. So, to call them, it's probably something, that he unclogged that drain, probably just pushed it deeper into the yard, because everything else works pretty good. So I can use the bathroom and shower, all the drains work, except when the dishwasher, or not dishwasher, the washing machine drains. And that's just too much pressure from the sump pump pushing it out, and it comes up everywhere else. Oh, so I'll think about it and see what I can do. Probably blab at you a little later because there's something else on my mind too. But I'll see what I can do. Bye. All right, just taking a little break here a little bit. I kind of felt myself sliding downhill just slightly, but I think it's more of a physical thing, probably a little inflammation going up, changing weather patterns and that kind of thing that makes a little inflammation in the brain, and that's kind of hard on you. But I was thinking that things happen maybe for a reason. And what I mean by that is, there may be situations where, you have chance after chance after chance to be humbled, chance after chance after chance to be, to tame that temper, chance after chance after chance to, do this or do that. And for each time that you miss a chance, maybe the next one has to be a little bit stiffer situation, almost like you're turning up the heat a little bit, and it just keeps going and going. And in my situation too, probably at a younger age, I probably was a little more arrogant, a lot more arrogant, to put that mildly, than what I am now. So Tourette's has kind of tamed that, and different things have happened that have placed me here, and I don't know that I could be in a better spot. So yeah, I see that as a possibility. I'm not going to say for sure that's exactly what goes on, but in the realm of what ifs, you can handle some of the heat a little better if you know the outcome is something that you may have planned yourself in another dimension. That is, if we were around in the spirit before we are now. I seem to think so, but it's possible we're not. I know the Bible says that he knew us before the foundations of the world were framed, and in somewhat, I think John or something says that before he placed the earth, he created us. It could be his foreknowledge that they're talking about, and we wasn't. So it could be either way. If you think it's his foreknowledge, that's probably a little more traditional, and everything lines up. If it's the other way and we were here, then there's a lot more questions to be asked. But that's a fascinating point, and I like kind of delving into those questions. But anyway, I'll let you go and I'll blab at you later. Bye. Taking a little break, enjoying this beautiful day. It's a little bit cool, but it feels good on my head. Sometimes that inflammation comes up and my head gets hot, so I'll just kind of stand outside and let that air hit my head, and it feels good. I've heard that before from people that have had, like, when you read about inflammation in the brain, a lot of people will describe it as feeling like their brain's on fire. And I can kind of understand that analogy in that situation. But I'm just pondering all kinds of different things, probably too many to come to a decent conversation about what's all going, thinking about the individual, thinking about the fact that life is so busy that nobody really thinks about you. And not that they don't care or they don't like you, it's just we're so wrapped up in our own life that it's just kind of, that's all we get. I had a family member say they don't see me on Facebook, but they'll visit my wall, and that's been months ago, and it never happens. We just get too busy, and you don't think about anything else but your own life. Hopefully it's the pleasant parts of it, but the way some people are and the way that life is, a lot of it's misery, which is sad. Mine's not like that. I enjoy a lot of stuff. I enjoy doing these videos. I enjoy art. I do enjoy singing. There's a lot of things as far as the experience that I have that I practice a conscious gratitude for what I do. But I also ponder, a lot of times I'll think of friends and people I haven't seen for a while, and you go visit their wall or just think about them. I also think about life. Sometimes it feels like a single player game where you're playing a game with a bunch of NPCs and trying to make sense of it all. But it's all good. Anyway, I'm going to get back at it, and I'll blab at you later. Bye. Good morning. I'm here. I've done a couple of beds already. Back hurting, but it kind of got a little bit of relief when I got just a little bit ticky. It's just ticky enough to kind of help the feeling of the old back. But I'd mentioned yesterday I was thinking about, advice and should we or should we not. And it probably boils down to the way somebody approaches it. Let's just say you've got a buddy that's really having a time. Do you, just give him the same opinion you would give anybody in that circumstance? This is, XYZ, and you just give that advice. Or two, do you analyze the individual's personality, especially if his buddy and you've known him for years and you know how he works? Do you say within yourself, okay, should I be kind of soft? What do they go for? Maybe I use reverse psychology, or maybe I can wheel it around where it looks like he's made the decision on his own, and then like, oh great, I think that's a good idea, maybe you should go there. Or do you continue even for a third option of just knowing that, if the individual is the type that it is not really going to make a difference and it could just make static between you two, do you just keep your mouth shut and just watch it happen? Now, if it's fixing to be a train wreck, that might be a real hard option to do. But you could be there with a life preserver and ready to play a supportive role. Maybe the supportive role would work better in that circumstance. And I know I overanalyze everything. That's why I end up sometimes keeping my mouth shut when I could speak, but it's just taken me so long to assess the situation, I miss my window of opportunity. So taking the shot. So, in that said, maybe You know, I do overanalyze stuff, but that's probably coming from a position of watching people underanalyze everything. A generic response to any situation is not always the best. Each individual is different. Anyway, I'll blab at you later. Bye. Good morning. It's a third attempt at being here, and I feel much better. So I guess it was just a little bug that gives me those symptoms, that activates the symptoms of Tourette's, but I can't tell it because everything that I get, it kind of comes out as those symptoms. I get allergies, it comes out as the tics and Tourette's. You know, I get a bug, it comes out like that. It just about anything. It makes it hard to diagnose what's going on when it's not quite straightforward. But I feel better and was still thinking about the real us, you know, and then saw an interesting video where somebody said that they knew Michael Jackson, and when he was in private, he didn't have that same voice that you always hear. It was he said it was very deep, masculine voice. And I thought, boy, that's interesting. He went on to explain that he thinks he did it to preserve his voice, his singing voice, the way he sang. So he kind of tried to talk the way he sang, I guess. I found that interesting. I didn't know things worked like that. So it made me want to go back and check out old Bee Gees videos to see if they talk in falsetto. I'll think about that, but I'll blab at you later, and we'll see how it goes. Bye. Been here a little while, got some stuff cleaned, but I was wanting to take off where I left off yesterday upon about opinions, and I had 3 different cases, which I won't go into them because the whole point is to keep these videos short. So that's a video back, and I pondered that the last possibility through those is taking a supportive role in a situation, especially when you've determined that your opinion is not really going to matter to the other person when you've analyzed their personality. And in the same sense, you know, and it's understandable, everybody's opinion is coming from their cognitive function. So they're going to assume that their opinion is going to be the best opinion in any said circumstance. I'm the same way. I see something, I analyze it, and I say, well, this needs to be done. I've determined that that's the best course of action. But knowing that that is coming from my cognitive function, and the fact that we ourselves are the poorest judge of our own sanity, you almost need a third party to determine that. That's why I always say, well, I could be wrong. Well, I understand where that's coming from. I could be wrong. It's just amazing that, well, see, just thought about that. I'm starting to say it's just amazing that people don't see the possibility of them being wrong, but still that's coming from my head. You just can't get out of your own head no matter how hard you try. It'd be nice if you could, though, because you're a nut. Sorry. I was looking at myself in the camera. That's what that was. No, wait, that was a tick. That's what that was. Yeah, it was a tick. Good morning. Got a lot of stuff cleaned in one of the sleep locations, all tucked away. I mentioned in a previous post about some trouble I had this weekend. So there's that. If you want to see that, that's the one above this. But I was thinking something that I had noticed in people that kind of confused me a bit. I'd be sitting talking to a buddy of mine here in his office, and every once in a while somebody will come in and they'll say something kind of really rude about whatever, And I would make a comment like, well, I didn't know that they were that kind of a person. And then my buddy's like, oh, they were just teasing. That's them. They're just kind of ribbing me or whatever. And I was like, okay, I don't get it. And he said, well, psychologists will say that he's heard that, some personality types, they'll rib you and kid you and maybe even call you names that if they like you. And if well, how bizarre is that? I mean, if I like somebody, I'm not so insecure that I won't say, hey, man, you're a really cool dude. I really like you. I like hanging out with you. But, to say, hey, jackass, that's weird, man. If I call you that, take 2 steps back because I'm going to punch you. But anyway, I'll talk at you later. Good morning. I'm here. I'm back. My back's doing like 95% better, if not, back to normal. And I needed that time. I really do think everything happens for a reason, and I don't really believe in coincidence. I think I was off for a reason, both for my back and mentally. I do think there's times that the universe don't step over somebody's free will and they'll miss the opportunity. But it's been quite a morning of kind of up and downs. But did you ever get like a song stuck in your head? I do, and depending on what that is, and I just said I don't believe in really coincidence, sometimes that can be a sign in itself, because every time I start to think of missed opportunities and why things happen, and I've even pondered the idea of moving to Vietnam with Toot's family over there, wondering if I'll get more support than I do here. And then I get that song in my head, to God be the glory, to God be the glory, to God be the glory for the things he has done. And then I stop and I think, man, you're right. Let me just calm down. And it's not as kind of, woe is me type mentality. You got to change the way you think. I've got a great support group. It's just in the spirit. Just like the video I did over the weekend, which, I've got to just remind myself I'm doing all this as a memoir for after I die, because it's not like anybody's listening to it now. But then I'd go on that vein and then hear, to God be the glory, to God be the glory, to God be the glory for the things he has done. And I'm like, okay, just get off my high horse. Just calm down and breathe. You're going to be good. I'm not sure I'm really supposed to be here at this time, but, I'm working at it. And I can't go very long of just, trying to figure it all out till I hear that same thing. And I still think it's kind of synonymous with love. To love be the glory. And everything I want to do in love, and push away all that goofy stuff. Some of the complaints I just did was for, illustration purposes only, although they are true. I'm not really making a video to, harp on that. It's just more like every time you do, or I do, I get that to God be the glory, to love be the glory, to do, it's not really what I'm thinking. I work so hard at trying to figure things out, and I have done that for as long as I can remember. Even at one point when I was 12 years old, coming back from a revival with Dad, I looked over at him and said, Dad, do you think we've solved all the mysteries that there is? Jesus was hidden from the Jews as the Messiah for a certain plan. That's what the Bible says. And maybe there's things hidden from us till a right time. Is there anything else that we can figure out? And he thought about it and said, yeah, there probably is. It'd be kind of hard to think that we know it all right now. And I think, well, do you think he'll let me be the one to discover him? And, you know, he probably, listening to a 12-year-old, he may have been appeasing me, but he said, yeah, that's a possibility. So I've always kind of had that thought in my mind, trying to figure things out. But now I'm starting to think, you know, I don't think it's all about that. Once we get in the spirit, we're going to know it anyway. It's already there. There's nothing to really figure. It's just we don't remember it. And if we don't remember it, then my complications of that, I think it's just for the experience of it. And the experience can be beautiful. We just have to refocus. Yeah, the experience is beautiful. Regardless if I'm living with a world full of zombies. But anyway, I'll blab at you later. Yeah, there it goes, that song in my head. To God be the glory. I can't complain with that just going off. Bye. Good morning. I'm here a little bit early, but it's not my week to clock in early, although I've got a mess of stuff back there to clean. So on those days, I kind of wish I was here a little earlier just to get an earlier start on it. You know, just get everything polished up before anybody gets here. But yesterday I'd mentioned I didn't feel right at the end of the day in the last video, like maybe some inflammation was kind of happening, and that's always makes it a little bit hard on my head. I ended up, at times just going outside to cool off my head because it just feels like it's on fire. It just feels like it's hot. But I'll be okay. I don't even know where I'm going this morning. I was just thinking about some stuff. I've probably got almost 4 hours of these videos like this on YouTube, and they don't get many. The first two maybe have double digits, like maybe 11 views a piece, and the last one maybe has like 4. But that's okay. I keep telling myself I'm doing this for Sonny and grandkids, great grandkids down the line. They'll want to know, what Grandpa was like when they see my pictures and the stuff that I painted and everything. So they'll dive into it a little further and kind of hear some of my thoughts. And that helps a little bit. But to say I'm not disappointed, when I don't get more response, it would be probably an understatement. But then I realize it's not really my friends. It's just the way that this YouTube and especially Facebook work. I don't know if they expect you to pay for like letting all your friends see what you do or not. It's just kind of a weird situation. But anyway, I'm going to go ahead and clock in. It's a little bit early, but I don't think they'll mind, just to get some of this stuff done. And I'll talk at you later, maybe actually come up with something a little better. Bye. Good morning. Got a few minutes before I clock in and wanted to do a video. They just seem to make me feel a little bit better once I get some stuff off of my chest. But honestly, at this point, I'm not sure I have much of anything off on my chest. I just do it for doing it. I may not even post this because I'm not sure what I'm going to say. But I am thankful that I feel pretty good. I'm thankful when I sleep well. I'm thankful when things go right. And I'm thankful for lessons learned when things go wrong. Think people do me wrong. There's always that inward battle of, you can't wait for them to get what they deserve. and then another part of you that says, don't do that. You don't want to practice witchcraft, and you're not going to curse anybody. Leave them alone. They will, but you don't just hope for it. And, if they at some point ask for forgiveness and they never get it, be thankful, that they've had a change of heart. If you're not careful and you keep that mentality of wanting revenge, if it doesn't come because they've repented, then you might get sore at that. And then that would be a really stupid thing to be sore at. And I guess we'll have that inward battle till the day we die. It's all right, or else that old man dies. That's fine, kind of the flesh. I've heard people talk about being in the spirit, and I can't actually, I know what they're referring to, but I don't know how that works a little bit, considering, if it was that easy to jump in the spirit, then anybody with Alzheimer's can just bypass the disease itself of the flesh and just be in the spirit and be totally fine. But while we're here in this dimension, we spend most, if not all, of our existence in the flesh. I could be wrong because I don't understand it. But anyway, I'll clock in and get clean and stuff and decide if I'm going to post this. Bye. Good morning. A little time before work, just microwaving me a little breakfast here. But the last few days have been a little harder on me with the inflammation and stuff. But I'm always going to do good because I say it. There you go. There's my breakfast. I'll let it cool off a little bit. But I was watching a show, whatever, I don't know, documentary, but it's on a dude named Jacobo Grinberg, I think. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right, like Jacobo. And he was like a paranormal psychologist that, kind of dealt in consciousness and believed in a universal consciousness that we could all tap into. The best way I can describe it, which I haven't seen the whole thing, I had to stop at about 7 minutes because my brain started going crazy, because I kind of do that a lot of times when people start talking to me about their beliefs. I start analyzing the ramifications of it way before they get to any kind of a point, and I finally just have to stop because I'm not really listening to what's being said. I'm delving into the possibilities in my brain, so I might as well just shut it off. I'm not getting anything at that point. But it kind of sounds like if we were all individual programs in the same computer, and we think that we're all separated, but we're using one processor to do all of our functioning. Kind of sounds something like that. And anyway, he disappeared mysteriously, like in December of '94. And of course, the thumbnail said something like he knew something CIA didn't want to get out, so they made him disappear. That's pretty unlikely because universal consciousness has been going on for decades. I mean, that's kind of a hippie thing. So that's doubtful. Probably something unfortunately happened. He was from Mexico. Maybe something happened. He was murdered, but it probably didn't have anything to do with his belief or finding anything that was going to put him in danger. If not that, then about every pseudoscientist out there would be disappearing. But unless he tapped into something that he could prove, like, I don't know, maybe he was teleporting to work every day. And, but anyway, I'll I'll go home this tonight and watch a little more, as long as my brain don't start running away with what if scenarios. Because it did seem interesting. I just kind of want to know, the circumstances behind his disappearance more than anything. Good morning. Here early, doing a little cleaning. Walking a little crooked, my back hurts, but sometimes that's a good thing, because it kind of, most of the time I don't feel nothing, but I am now. But I was thinking about three different things. One was to give advice or not when it comes to somebody that's really maybe having a hard time and you're trying to decipher if it would be a benefit or not. Another one was just looking at life as an experience, to try to help you get through things. But those will be separate videos. What I was actually thinking about now was, I see a lot of videos talking about how to protect yourself from the narcissist, how to respond, how to get away from toxic relationships, and that kind of thing. And I never hear one saying how to love the narcissist and yet protect yourself. Because most of them are just getting away and defensive, and they treat them like a monster. And if it's a personality disorder, they're I guess sick, but they don't see it because it doesn't show like that, I reckon. But in a lot of cases, you walk away if it's not a family member. You like hi, bye, and you get away from them. That's probably better. If it's a spouse and you kind of hold the position till death do you part, then that's a little tougher. Although to me, in my opinion, probably getting away from the situation is still probably the best. But the hardest thing is if it's a parent. You want to love your parent, and you have a lot of them that hold that abuse as a badge of honor. They survived a toxic parent, and the way they talk about them, they absolutely hate them. I heard one individual say the only thing I loved about my mother was the fact that she's dead. And I thought, man, that is brutal. So if somebody goes through has a narcissistic parent, and they go through that, and it's brutal, but my thought is, how do you love those people, but yet protect yourself? I might put that up to my sister and see. She might do a video where the rest of the psychologists leave that off. But that was on my mind. But I'll talk at you later. Well, I'm here, but I managed about 30 minutes before I threw up. So maybe I got the flu. And by this picture I'm looking in there, I am looking kind of pale. So I'll try again tomorrow. But if you haven't seen much from me, visit my wall. You might not even see this the way Facebook does. It's really discouraging to me. But I'll blab at you later, and I'll try again tomorrow. Bye. Good morning. Just taking a little break. Just about time for lunch. And I'm feeling pretty good today. Been ticky here and there, but nothing that's actually bothered me too much. I slept like 10 hours last night, which I very seldom do that. It's kind of crazy, almost to the point to where when I wake up, I'm like, oh, I've got to leave in an hour, which usually I wake up, I have 4 or 5 hours to just kind of piddle, create, listen to whatever I want. But that seemed a little bit of a rush, but I'm fine because it made me feel good, made my brain really active today as far as just thinking about different stuff. But I was talking to my manager about, the love aspect we talked about in one of my videos, and then the hate, operating in hate regardless of the motive, just seems weird. And she said, well, I think everything is subjective from one person to the other. and there's not really any real set rules, and I can kind of understand that to a degree, but not entirely. And I even told her, I said, well, I want to and almost have to agree in a universal truth. Whether or not we're in a position to fully realize that universal truth is a complete other story. I know everybody will claim to have a certain amount of truth, and if I believe something's true, it doesn't really, the belief in itself doesn't really change the fact that it is or not. That's where the universal part of it comes from. But in order to have kind of a universal truth, and I hear it from especially like the near-death experiences where they're talking about a universal consciousness. Once they reach that other deal, we're all kind of one, everybody's linked, they're reading everybody's mind, and it's just all open, which is an amazing thing, but it's hard to comprehend. But I've not experienced that, so I'm not judging. If I'm ever fortunate enough to have that experience and come back and tell somebody, you know, then that would be one thing. I'd tell my story. If everybody thought I was nuts, that's fine. They didn't experience it, so it's my journey, my story. But I guess if there is a universal truth, it have to revolve around a universal consciousness. Because if you're going to make everything subject, then each individual would have their own different, it'd almost be like a multi-dimensional aspect of every individual. Although I can see, like the lady walking down the sidewalk there, from her perspective, it's a complete and utter different dimension with different rules and different laws that regulate that, and it would depend on her thought processes. That's an interesting thought. Now, I'm not saying I believe that because, again, I think there's a universal truth that is a truth regardless of whether she believes it, I believe it, or don't believe it. If you tell me something that is universally a truth and I decide I'm not going to believe it, my lack of belief doesn't turn it into a lie. That is just on me. From my perspective and the way I kind of think anyway, and I kind of hesitate there because, man, we've got a lot of minister friends that believe in a few little things. There's a set core behind what they believe that's all the same, but then they have different aspects of it, and some believe, in Trinity, some oneness, and another that they say that both of them are wrong. So in that aspect, there's a universal truth. We're not in a position to have a handle on it yet. We can speculate. And if you're understanding it, and from my perspective, I understand that I could be wrong, and I'm fine with it. And I can't wait to, once we cross over and get to a place where we're told that truth and find out what all I've got wrong, that would, that's fine with me, man. That'd be kind of cool. But anyway, I blabbed like almost 5 minutes, and that's way too long. So I'll blab at you later. Bye. Good morning. I'm here fixing to start cleaning. I've got 3 mattresses on the table, which I put on the table because they had it under the table and on the side, and bariatric bed, which I again put in the dirty room because I just can't start cleaning with stuff around me, and they know that, but it's okay. It's only a distraction because of what I was thinking about this morning, which I don't know if I can put into my typical couple of minutes or not, because it was heavy, because I was watching a near-death experience. I've seen a few of them, and this fellow had mentioned that anyone who works in love is doing God's work because they're doing it in love. And I'm paraphrasing this and going fast. I mean, it was kind of a heavy deal. And And I'm like, okay, that's cool. And he come from that, from maybe a incident where he had passed away, and I guess just experienced this a life after death experience. Well, I started thinking about that and thinking about people that turn their back on God. And for one example, I knew when a child had passed away, this certain individual just absolutely hated God for it and turned their back on Him. I'm thinking, okay, wonder if God is love, and turning your back on God consists of turning your back on love. I'm not no longer going to love. So I started thinking about that, and thinking about the fact that somebody turns their back on God if they don't really know God. They're not in a situation, whether they're kind of raised here or maybe in another country where the concept is a little different. It's hard to turn your back on something you don't know. But everybody from every part of this world knows love and knows hate. They'll embrace one, reject the other. Hopefully they'll embrace love, reject hate. Or some may stand neutral and just go with the flow, like you're running downstream, and you come across something you love it, and you come across something you hate it, and you don't reject anything. To me, that's probably the most dangerous stance. I guess if somebody just totally embraced hate, which I can't imagine, that might be the epitome of evil. But anyway, I'll keep thinking about that, and I had some better thoughts on it, but they just kind of messed up my mind when I can't really start cleaning like I want to here. So I may come back to it and ponder more on that. Rejecting love, because that's a concept you kind of understand more, as far as its implications. Yeah, something I never want to do. But anyway, I'll blab at you later. Bye. Good morning. Here at work, just finished up one of the sleep locations, so throwing their stuff in boxes and getting it ready for them. But I had put my last bunch of phone thoughts all in one and posted it on YouTube, and it's like an hour and 58 and some odd seconds, so it's just shy of 2 hours by a couple of minutes, and that's groovy, man. I didn't know I blabbed that much in a couple of months anyway. The other two are shorter, so I got another one that's about an hour, a little over actually, and then another one around 45 minutes. But if you want to watch part 1, part 2, part 3, it's on my YouTube channel. I got a link below this one there if you want to go there. And if you want to subscribe, that would be groovy. But anyway, a couple of things on my mind, and probably more than that, and I won't get into them in very deep because I don't like extending these long, but one of them was on time, and you hear a lot of scientists talk about time not existing, and I don't dig that. To me, it's a measurement of decay, or if you don't want to say decay, it could be change, because there's some things that's not really, it's not really decaying till it reaches a point, like a tipping point, and then everything decays at some point. The Bible says that, it's got a scripture that says, I created the waster to destroy, and a lot of theologians will say that's him talking about creating the devil. And that may well be so, but a lot of times I always wondered, so could that be time itself? Because time seems to destroy everything, and we've always said that the devil didn't have any ability to actually destroy. He just deceives. So I thought maybe that's just indicating that he put time into existence for a while. I don't know if it'll always be there, but it seems like while we're here in this dimension, living our lives, that it seems ridiculous to say time doesn't exist. I mean, I can look in the mirror and see its effects. But anyway, I'll blab at you later and save those other thoughts that are playing around in my head for another time. Bye. Good morning. Been here an hour or so cleaning, fixed a couple of beds, which basically was just hand control. So it was like a snap, snap, and it was done. But feeling pretty good this morning. But I was watching some videos, and anytime I do that, I don't watch anything without it expanding any kind of thought processes that I might have in a general direction. So in this one, a fellow was, I don't know if it was making fun, or in his eyes it may have been enlightening somebody to his perspective, and that would be only his perspective. But he had a video clips of a certain minister, which I won't mention his name because, you know, I grew up listening to this fella, and I have enjoyed and been blessed by his ministry. But in this case, the guy does at times preach very angrily, with a lot of emotion and hate in it. And I know we're kind of angry at the devil, but sometimes when you look at that, you might need to step back a little bit and analyze what you're doing. You know, see if your strategy is conducive to actually bringing in the lost, if that's your goal. And this individual just had short clips of just him. So everybody wasn't getting the same picture. It wasn't fair, but he had short clips of him being so angry, is like foaming at the mouth, and he looked like a lunatic. And that's what this guy was trying to present, you know, that this guy's crazy. Not fair on his part, and I don't believe the fella's crazy, although if you had never known him and you watch this video, you would definitely stay away from him. But my thought is, boy, this is a message of love, and I know we got to be angry at the devil, but that seems like maybe a place of a personal stance. But when you're trying to reach somebody, if you do it in an extremely emotional, angry state, it seems like you're just putting bullets in your enemy's guns. If that's what I'm trying to say, you know, trying to comprehend what was going on there, because it was pretty condemning. I'd have to think about it to kind of justify that kind of anger, or at least figure a way to point it in a direction that doesn't seem so damaging to the individual that's projecting it, if that makes sense. Yeah, when you're spewing hate, even if your motives are right, boy, it doesn't look good. Anyway, I'll ponder it and fix some more stuff. Bye. Good morning. As usual, I got a few minutes before I clock in, so I'm going to blab at you a little bit because I have stuff on my mind. I'm feeling pretty good today, and am unbelievably grateful for it. I found myself at times even getting watery-eyed just driving down Main Street and looking at the street lights and the empty stores and the lights in them, and not because of anything wrong with it, but just because of, boy, it's beautiful, and I can actually enjoy this moment in time, and I'm truly grateful for what I enjoy. But I was thinking, and all last night, I kept, I would say it was a dream, but I don't think it was, because it was like in between. I would like dream stuff, but in between I'd wake up, and what was on my mind was, work and love, don't try to explain it. Work and love, don't try to explain it. Work and love, don't try to explain it. And it just kept going over and over and over. And I know probably what initiated it, because I saw some stuff, you know, some videos that you might say, you know, somebody got healed by the power of love, and, you know, I'll watch the video, and to see it initially, was beautiful. Kind of reminded you of what you might see in a church service, healing line or something. But when they explained it, something else was going on. They didn't explain it like that, or even sometimes they would do what I would categorize as like speaking in tongues. That's what we do in a Pentecostal church, and that was my background, and I've done it. And understand sometimes words are inadequate, so you reach into a deeper place and you pull that out. And they were doing the same thing, but again, their explanations were a little different. So I'm thinking, boy, people's explanations kind of ruin some of the good stuff that they do. Sometimes if they keep their mouth shut, that might be a little bit better. And even some of like traditional explanations I think are kind of a little odd. But boy, there's nothing odd about working in love when you do that. I mean, just keep your mouth shut, work in love, and that experience right there, well, that means more than anything. So I'm going to try to do what was on my mind to the best of my ability. And yeah, I'll blab at you later. Hey, y'all have a good day. Good morning. I'm still home. I haven't yet left for work. I will before too long, I think. I went home early yesterday. I'm tired and I don't feel good, and I can't really tell. Sometimes with the Tourette's, I can't tell if it's that or if I've got a bug or something. But I was thinking about life if this was like a play, like a movie. We're all playing a part, and we're all method actors. We all stick with our parts, regardless if we're, if the director says action or not. Might even say cut, but we still stick with the part that we play. Maybe that's where I get the thought of the persona, where, it's hard to find the real person. But in my case, I'm wanting to go a little bit deeper and delve into the spirit of man. What's their spirit like? It kind of hit me watching some of the old black and white footage of some of the stars, performing, especially the musicians, and they'll record their rehearsals, and they'll get really into it. And that's one I saw of Prince. And I'm not a Prince fan by any stretch of the imagination. But then when I saw some of the old footage, I had to smile a little bit, because he just, to me, became a child playing pretend that maybe had gotten into his mama's clothes. And it was kind of fun to watch him and his group do that. And I'm like, boy, they're having fun and they're just really getting into it. But they never stopped playing pretend. His whole life, it was that persona. And then I stop and look in the mirror and think, I may be doing the same thing. We're in this life and we're playing a part. I don't know what the real us, the real you, the real me really is. I'm assuming it's got to be in the spirit. But boy, I'd like to meet him. Anyway, I'll try to muster up the strength to go to work. Bye. Good morning. Well, my head is really rolling, probably because I'm rocking, getting a lot of stuff knocked out, because there was a lot of stuff here this morning. And then I was thinking about something I saw on Time, and I know I'd mentioned in previous one that I don't really dig the time don't exist type thing, but in this one was they were kind of explaining time space, and they were using an example as if one astronaut was in one position while the other one was cruising, through space at high speeds, and he went to call the other one. He said they use the term a magic phone, and after a little while, kind of figure out what they got going there, and they call back to the other one. The one that's traveling is calling the past because they are in two different times. Like the one traveling's now is in the future, while the one that's present now is in the past. And I'm thinking, okay, I can kind of see what they're doing, the way they're interpreting that. I'm not totally for sure that how accurate it is. But one, they use the term magic phone because any phone that you're going to use, the best communication you're going to have is speed of light. So while you dial up somebody and wait for the connection, time is still passing. So by the time you get connected, it seems to me like there will be a third now that they're not taking into account. But see, they'll use a magic phone because we really don't have that technology to actually make that call. They used another example of where the one would be calling the future. And I see that and I keep thinking, it's all an interpretation. If somebody gives me the evidence and then says that I can't interpret what I'm hearing in any way but the way that they are interpreting it, and they call that wrong, nah, don't buy it. Your interpretation is just as valid as anybody else's, regardless if it's the scientist or the teacher or the preacher or wherever it is. We need to use our brains. But anyway, I'll get back at it because I want to get more stuff done.